Whoa, whoa.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa.
All right. I guess we're getting started.
Yeah, episode 14.
Yeah, number 14.
Deep dive.
All right, everybody. Can't believe this is happening, but we are on episode 14 of Deep Dive. This is your host, Rex.
And your other host, Practical.
Practical. He's a very practical guy. Gotta give him that.
All in the motherfucking name.
All in the name. So today we are talking about a very special band to me. Scary Kids Scaring Kids. Bring them out. Bring them out, everybody. Yes. All right, everybody. There's nobody here. But
where are they from?
They are from Gilbert, Arizona.
Ah, all right.
I've never heard of Gilbert, Arizona. I don't think I know any other town but Tucson. I'm from Gilbert.
Tucson.
That's where Gilbert Grape is from, I heard.
Like the Leo movie?
Yes.
Or maybe it's based on a book. I don't fucking know.
I don't know either. A great movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, Scary Kids Scaring Kids. Haven't heard these albums in a number of years. So going back to listen to them kind of made me hate my younger self a little bit.
Really?
Yeah. This band kind of gave me probably the way you felt about Metallica when you had to revisit that or go through all that. Luckily, much shorter though. Much shorter.
I can't speak much for the third album. That one is... We'll get to that. Either way, Scary Kids, post-hardcore band started in 2002 in Gilbert, Arizona. Man, they were in high school when they did their first EP, After Dark. That's happens for a lot of these post-hardcore bands. Most of them start in high school.
Gotta get in it.
Gotta get them while they're young.
Yeah.
As Diddy would say.
That's sick fuck.
That guy. Anyways, so... They started out their After Dark EP, which came out, man, when I was 12. 2003. So I was 12.
Interesting.
In perfect time. I didn't hear it till later, but I was 12 when the guys did this. I like that.
I bought it when it came out. It was one of those Tower Record things where it was like, for fans of, and then it said bands I liked. So I was like,
that's how they always got you.
Yeah.
Like even they put stickers on the CD. If you like Bless the Fall, you'll love Silverstein.
It worked on me countless times.
Oh, absolutely. So. I mean, I did the whole MySpace top 8. My favorite band. I went to their top 8 and I listened to them. Yeah. And that's how I kind of went down that dark road.
Oh, MySpace.
Oof, I miss it. It was better than Facebook. I don't remember so much hate.
I mean, they're about the same for me, but the only thing better about MySpace was I could have like a featured song or music video. Like, this music represents me.
This is the song that represents my life. And it's Immortal Techniques, Dance with the Devil.
Or maybe for some people, the Phil Collins Tarzan soundtrack music.
Some people, you're never going to let that go. That's okay, though. I love it.
Hey, no, I don't even think it's bad music. I love Phil Collins. I just will never be not shocked that was brought up in the conversation.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, tell me a little bit about this band in terms of how it affected you during the emo post-hardcore scene at the time, because you said you heard it later. So,
well, the After Dark one I heard later. I got a copy of The City Sleeps in Flames in my freshman year from a girl named Truly. It was in actually my radio class.
Okay.
She gave me and her were like the two emo kids. So she brought a burned CD. It had that CD and then Fall Out Boys from Under Your... Take This to Your Grave. She
Love
had
that
both
album.
of them on there. And so I listened to The City Sleeps in Flames and I fell in love. I mean, I was grasping at all emo stuff back then. So they probably could have fed me dog shit and I would have been like, my God.
No, they didn't actually do that until 2022, but we'll get there.
They saved that for later. That surprised Dookie.
They let it fester inside a rotting corpse and then dropped it on you.
Dude, they rubbed it in your face.
That's how I felt while I was listening to it. But I guess that will bring us to the first album of the episode. The album called
The City Sleeps in Flames. God, that's so sick.
Hell sick. 2005. Probably a pretty pivotal moment for that whole scene. I think that was when a lot of cool shit was starting to hit. Like, they'd all been influenced by the first wave, and the second wave was like, we've got this down to a formula now. Boom.
Hit 2005, 2006 was a pretty good year for all that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from 2002, there was like to 2006, there was like that beginning phase, and then everybody started getting in on it, and it started like some great bands came from it.
Yeah. And some great albums. Well, some albums that I think are great. I know it's so funny because I like a bunch of the emo post-hardcore albums that hardcore fans of those bands just think suck. Like, like Heroin from First to Last. Everyone just hates on that album, but I think it's so sick. It was awesome if you bought it too, because it was one of the only CDs I'd ever seen where you flip it over and it doesn't have the silver back, but it's completely black. I was like, God damn it, that's so badass. But
that album is good. I
love it, dude. Yeah. If I still have it there before you leave, I'll show you.
Was it one that had the white sleeve over it?
Yeah.
And it was like the Heroin was like in a kind of trippy color.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that too. That was such a sick case.
Dude, so fucking tight. But the album too, like,
it was dark as fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
It was so dark.
And it felt like a reasonable like expectation of production quality jump from Teen Angst to Heroin. But yeah, because I'm pretty sure that came out the same year. I think it was 2005.
It was either 2005 or 6. But either way, it's right in that area.
Yeah.
But back to the City in Flames, Sleeping. What did you think of it? I know.
Napping in Flames.
Napping in Flames.
Well, if you would talk to me in 2005, I would have said it was so sick. But upon my re-listen, not so much.
Not so much.
No, I probably wouldn't listen to it again.
It's got some good songs.
It does. It's got a lot of good guitar work too. But I think those low moments that are really good, bands like Bayside do way better.
Absolutely.
And I can hear similarities, but it's like they're different because this band has the screaming shit where Bayside really doesn't.
No.
But
I like this I like this album a lot. I mean,
yeah.
I don't love it, but I like it a lot. It's got some of my favorite songs on it, like My Darkest Hour, The Bright Side of Suffering, Breath of Sunshine, and I also really like the lead singer Tyson's voice. Whatever it is about his voice, I just really like.
I'm gonna probably blow your mind here, but I didn't really care for his voice.
I mean,
I don't know.
It's
It's not bad.
It's kind of a niche voice, you know. So I mean, it's one of those ones a lot of people either just not gonna like it. You know, it's different.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't like Craig Owen's voice for a long time. It grew on them, but at first it was like, you hear that girl singer on Cheetos?
Cheetos.
Did you ever hear that?
Yeah, Cheetos.
Got no nuts.
I'm usually for unique voices. Like, I love Smashing Pumpkins with Billy Corgan and shit. So
he does have
the weirder
voice.
the better, I guess. Sometimes Primus. I like the weirder voices. So it's not so much that he sounds different than
just a little whiny,
but a little whiny. Yeah.
Well, that's. I mean, if they weren't, they want to be emo.
Yeah.
You got to have some wine in there. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not going to come together.
Gotta throw some aged fine wine in that bitch.
But I mean, to be fair, on the whole emo, screamo scene and post-hardcore, even though it was widely loved, it was very much hated on. Like, there were always jokes. You never give the emo kid the aux cord, you know, because ain't nobody going to like it except him. And even then, he's angry.
So. Hey, I mean, kudos to a lot of those bands, though, because in a lot of ways, it like brought back the whole we can start a band in our garage thing.
It absolutely did. How many bands became of it? Like at Warped Tour every year, 50 bands, and there was at least 30 I'd never seen. Yeah, probably maybe 20, but either way, they also had like the Battle of the Bands. That whole wave, I feel like, brought out the, like you said, the garage band in people again.
They always had, like, you'd be thrown out of left field with some of the names. Like, you're reading the Warped Tour list and you're like, the Beauty and Brevity? What the fuck? Who the fuck are those guys? But sometimes the name would be enough for you to check it out too.
Like, for sure.
I don't know.
The only time I've ever seen Deftones was at Warped Tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Deftones. I saw a lot of people, like Katy Perry. I saw Katy Perry when she wasn't Katy Perry. She was Katy Perry, but she had like 7 to 12 people in front of her. And she only came along because she was with the guy from Gym Class Heroes, Travis McCoy, or Travie McCoy.
Yeah.
So she came along, but then like a year later, she did that. I kissed a girl. I might have liked it, but
pretty sure she liked it.
I'm pretty sure.
And you know what? I liked that about her as well. But anyway.
Absolutely. It's nice to think about. But it was just a good time. It was. Yeah. And this band is definitely, a product of that. These are young kids, probably about 18 or 19 when they went in to do this album.
Yeah. The thing I like the most about this band is their name, which I read today. I didn't know it, but taken from another emo band. One of their songs is called Scaring Kids, and they're called Cap and Jazz. And I was like,
so sick.
What the fuck kind of a name is Cap and Jazz? You had Scary Kids on the table and you were like, fuck that. Cap and Jazz.
I mean,
who knows when it came
That's
along.
just that era though. Like we were talking about earlier before we started the podcast, what like the names to songs.
That's going to come up a lot.
It is because they're so good. I miss that time.
Yeah.
Like I told you earlier, it'd be a song about someone being sad and it's called My Britches Fell Below My Belt. And you never know.
I mean, there were a lot of bands where it stood out, like Brand New, Fall Out Boy, Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. Just some of the names would be so fucking outrageous where you're like, and then Chiodos, that's another one.
Didn't say I was powerful. I said I was a wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what the fuck? I miss that time. It was, I feel like a more creative time because the music was so different. Like obviously you could tell where they got a lot of their like inspiration from, like NoFX, Metallica, Incubus, like all that kind of stuff. Saves the Day.
Yeah.
And so it was just really cool what they were doing.
No, yeah. And I mean, this album in particular does have a lot of standout shit. Like the guitar work is pretty cool and it has that garage rock feel. Like I said, where they're, a lot of the songs feel just like they're jamming. And there's a certain rawness to it that I like from first albums most of the time. And it's not a bad album. Like I love the title track album, that The City Sleeps in Flames. That song itself is
sick.
Probably my favorite song on the album. Darkest Hour was another one, which is also a sick band, by the way. Darkest Hour.
Love them,
fuck those guys.
Man.
So sweet.
So sick.
Yeah. Drowning You in Fear. That song's pretty sick. Faith in the Knife. Like overall, it's not a bad album. If we weren't doing this episode, I probably wouldn't have listened to it again. And it's just because when it comes to emo music, there's a lot to choose from.
So much.
And I've already picked my, my
your
top fivers. Yeah, the ones that I'm like, I'm in an emo mood. It's this it's whatever. This bullshit. Like, yeah. But I don't know.
What do you rate this album?
I don't know. Not super memorable for me, but I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
That's more fair than I thought.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't hate it. It's not shitty. It's just meh. I
agree with you. I feel this album didn't stand out in the sea of the wave, or in the wake of the wave. They did this album pretty early on in the kind of change of music, the way it was going back then.
Yeah.
But they didn't do enough to stand out with this album.
It's perfectly of its time.
It is.
That's the best way, I think, to
I'd probably give it a 6 too. I think a 6 is a good score. It's got
fair.
good songs, but again, like you said, when you think of the emo era and you're in that mood to be sad for no reason,
yeah,
this isn't the album you pick.
No, but I mean, it does lyrically. It does have a lot of good lines. Like,
Absolutely.
I mean, I didn't write any down. I should probably start doing that. But when I was re-listening to it this time, I was like, "Oh, that was sick." And you know, he's spinning an intricate web of words here and there, where you're rolling with it, kind of reminiscent of "Funeral for a Friend" lyrically. I think, but. Yeah, I don't know. Not a bad one. Just not a great one either. Like I said, be hard pressed to see myself listening to it again. But I definitely think they got better when the second album came out. The self-titled
Scary Kids Scaring Kids. God, I don't know. Sounds a little
Freddy. The laugh. It's good. It's good.
2007 follow-up sophomore album. Much better production.
This is actually probably in my top 5 favorite albums ever.
Really?
Yeah, I know you're not a big fan of it. I mean, for what it is, which is fine. But for me, I like the themes of this album. I like the time and place that I heard it. And even when I listen, it's like constantly on a looping play with me all the time.
Interesting.
But I like the writing in it. Everything in it kind of hits what I like encapsulate from that era, I guess. Like some albums capture it better for other people, but this one for me kind of captures it all.
So would you call this album a quintessential emo post-hardcore album?
For me, yeah.
Interesting.
I feel it's got it all there without being too over the top. You know, like Silverstein. I love them. But one thing about Shane Told's writing is he's very over the top with his dramatics.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Nothing against it. But it can be a little mellow or over dramatic, I mean. But I think Tyson kind of perfectly hits the notes on this album. They wrote it in a month, 30 days. And they went into it wanting it to be a compilation, not a themed album, not just some stuff thrown together. And I think you can hear that in the songs.
What do you mean by that? Because it does, to me, feel like a bunch of songs thrown together.
No, I don't know. I hear what they're talking about because each song leads into the next, like an intro and outro. Also, each song's themes are all around the same exact thing, which is the album's basis. And I really like it. And I don't know, like in some of the lyrics, if you listen to, which, you know, I know you haven't listened to it as much as I have, so a lot harder to catch these things. But he calls back in his lyrics in other songs to other songs.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, kind of, it's cool. I really like how it was done. I think Tyson's voice, by the way, is also on point here. His screaming's great. I think the guitar work is fucking great. So many great openings. Yeah. And yeah, fucking love it. Quintessential. Absolutely.
I agree. I wrote a bunch of that stuff down. Guitar transitions and a lot of nicer, heavier parts. Lyrically, perfectly in line with most emo post-hardcore shit for the time.
Absolutely.
That song "Snake Devil" though is like I mentioned
what you said earlier.
Yeah, that's fucking. It's probably like homage or something, but that could easily be a Motley Crue song, like in the late '80s.
It's cool because I really like that song.
Yeah, that song's
sick.
That's that's what their older shit is similar to. It's just really guitar driven.
Yeah,
and I like that song. That's my favorite song on that album, no doubt. I like this album a lot more than the first one, though. I think it does everything that the first album was trying to do, but a little better. For me, it does feel pretty disconnected, but maybe that's because it's too long. I think it's too bloated. 15 tracks for any album is too much to me. I think albums should be more concise, like 10, 12 tracks.
I think it depends.
Mm-hmm.
If this album was shorter, I wouldn't be mad.
Uh-huh.
Actually, it's probably a lie. I love all the songs on this album. But I think it just depends. Like, if you're just doing an album and just writing songs, like, I think like 10, 12, unless you're a rapper, 20, if you got them. But
it's common in rap.
Yeah.
But it's usually a little bit bloated by interludes and,
and skits
and shit,
But no, I think the 15 tracks works if you have a point.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a conceptual one, because I mean, obviously you didn't feel that, which is fine, but maybe that's why they put it on so long. They had a story to tell or something.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's weird that's what I mean. Like, some parts of it feel connected, but then like a track or two later, it feels like it loses itself. But again, I only listened to it once last night. So, I mean, when it came out, I listened to it a bunch, but like I told you, I don't give a fuck about rock lyrics like that much at all. And they're one of those, they're a rock band to me. We talk about genres all the time, but at the end of the day, they're just
a rock band. Yeah. It's fucking people on guitar, drums, singing, throwing a keyboard here and there. It's a rock band.
All I care about are the melodies that go along with the music itself. And I think this album shines in that regard. Like, he could be singing anything other, just short of admitting like a slew of crimes or something, and I'd be like, yeah, this isn't too bad. But I don't know. I don't really know where I would put it for that time period up against other albums, but I do, at the time, it was a much bigger deal to me, just like that first album. And they'd only had those two at the time, which continued to be the case for quite a while. But yeah, same thing. Like, I was aware of them, and then when it came out at Tower, I went and picked it up, and then bought like 5 other albums with hype stickers that were like, for fans of Scary Kids, Scaring Kids.
Yep, that's how they got you.
And
it's a brilliant move.
Yeah, it worked. It worked a lot. I don't have like a ton to say about it because, like I said, it was more of a Metallica chore for me, like it was for you to get through this, because I'm over that kind of shit. I guess, like, that's the wrong word, because like I said, I'll still listen to shit I love, but I've moved on. Yeah,
moved on.
I've moved on from this kind of stuff, and it doesn't hit me like it used to. So, listening to it like that is actually interesting, because going back, I got a totally different perspective on the music itself. And, like I said, just different times. So it didn't hit me like it did when it came out, which I loved it at the time. But now I'm kind of lukewarm on it.
I think it's just because so much of the music was done by kids.
Yeah.
It had that, like I said, kind of over dramatic, over the topness about it.
Mm-hmm.
And being young then, everything's so much bigger than it actually is. So now that, you age, you realize that some things just aren't as bad as you thought they were. So when you go back and listen to this music, everything's so over the top, especially with the whole sadness thing and, all that shit. It's kind of like, you're like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Why are you crying?
It's just, emo's weird to me, which is, I guess I'll go on this tiny tangent. One of
Let's hear it.
Prax's
tiny tangents.
Itty bitty.
Itty bitty. Emo gets its own category for being emotional.
Really?
But that's what emo's short for.
You're right.
But all music is emotional, and you can say it about any genre. You think of like love songs from the 50s and 60s, they're talking about, simple shit, but it's emotional for them. They just want to hold your hand, like the Beatles. I want to hold your hand. You know, that's an emotional thing. And I think it's a weird caveat to be like, these guys over here are emo, because we can't think of songs like, you know, written by Journey or Lynyrd Skynyrd that will literally make people cry and be like, those are not emotional.
Thank you. This is something I have said for fucking years. I'm not even fucking with you. I've listened to Kelly Clarkson. I've listened to Ariana Grande. I've listened to Taylor Swift somewhat, and other things from Celine Dion to freaking Moody Blues all the way to, you know, Tarzan. So
motherfucking
always Tarzan, Phil Collins. I've always felt that about music. It's always been emotionally charged. And I think it's just the presentation, especially the screaming, the lack of, like, for better or worse, most of those dudes back then couldn't sing for shit, really. Like, you put them to the caliber of a real singer like Phil Collins, and you know, you realize they can't sing. They were good for what they did, and as they go on, they get better. But when I go back and listen to some of the old stuff I love, I'm like, God, dude, this sounds like shit, but I love it.
But like, that's to me, that's the beauty of rock music, because you don't need to be some vocal virtuoso, you know, like if your voice fits your band, you can find the groove like and Metallica. Run with it. Like White Zombie, Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, shit. Even like Robert Plant to some extent, you know,
Mr. Plant,
Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. Like, you find your niche and you ride it. AC/DC, Motorhead. None of those people are knock down, drag out great vocalists, but they're great for the bands they're in.
Absolutely, that's a good point. But like you were talking about earlier, I agree with you. I feel emo having that like that little ridge that they got through where everybody throws it all into emo and calls you emotional, but yeah, they can cry at a fucking Journey concert. It just blows my mind because I've said this forever. It's no different. They're a little more dramatic and the presentation isn't so polished. Yeah. And pleasant, not a lot of times pleasing to most people's ears.
It's a little more punk. It's like against the grain.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I don't know.
It's never made sense to
me. The Cure is like, that band is for when you're ready to slit both your wrists and fucking say goodnight. But they're not labeled as emo. And you know what's, I got to bring it up too. To end the tangent. Weezer. I've had friends be like, Weezer's emo. I'm like, how is Weezer emo? Like, I know sometimes they'll bring up Pinkerton and say that was a pretty emo album, and whatever. I mean, if we're going by the context of what the genre means, I guess Pinkerton could be emo.
It's like calling Blink-182 emo because of their self-titled.
Yeah, it's like all, I don't know.
Doesn't make sense.
It's just like, where do these... It's just fucking rock and roll. That's it. It's motherfucking
rock and roll rocket.
So, emo, post-hardcore, deathcore, spongecore, fuckcore,
crabcore,
whatever
Momcore,
the fuck.
Dadcore.
Fucking dad rock, butt rock, get fucked. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff.
101.7 butt rock.
101.7 get fucked.
In the butt rock.
I just will say...
End tangent.
The squeak at the end was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we move on, I am going to talk a little bit about this album because I love this album. So,
absolutely.
100?
100.
Pedal to the metal?
Pedal to the scary kids, scaring kids.
Absolutely. I really like this album because from my ideas of what it's about and what I listen to it and it's about.
Tell us, what is it about?
Well, what it is. I think it's all about the face you put on. Like, it's kind of on the nose with the cover being a mask. And I think they kind of reference the Jim Carrey, The Mask movie. You know, we all have masks. We all wear masks, metaphorical masks. Mm-hmm. And I think it's
metaphorically
kind of
speaking.
You know, they're talking about being, I mean, I guess the real overall theme of the album is being yourself and not letting other things dictate who you want to be. Because, I mean, he has lyrics all throughout it. Like the song Faces is about that, you know, not letting them control you. Like kind of be your own person, be creative, all that. And even in their cheesy love songs in it, he writes things like, you know, he says, if the stars said that you couldn't love me, are you telling me that you would listen? But then he goes on to say, that's okay, because you do your own thing that makes you happy. And I think that just kind of, it's a theme throughout the whole album. And he kind of has these repeating just concepts of that. And I really like that. I really like what it's about to me.
It seems like it is about masquerading
as somebody you're not and following what you want. But if you want to follow the grain and that makes you happy, like, good. Like, it's, I don't know. And it's got this weird somber tone. And I think it's probably a lot about his drug use and how he feels, because he died in about 2015 from a heroin overdose. And the
drugs
singer,
are bad.
Bye.
No, drugs are bad. Don't do heroin.
Don't do heroin. We lost a lot of great artists to that. But I mean, the band didn't say it at first, but when they split after that album, it was mainly due to drugs. Yeah. And, you know, he was addicted to heroin.
A tale as old as time.
As old as rock.
Yep. It's a shame. I didn't even know that about him until we talked about doing this episode. So.
Yeah, it's sad. He died in 2015, and they had recorded a whole third album. They did a whole third album. They just hadn't laid the vocals for it. But he quit the band.
That's a shame.
Or, well, they decided to split. But either way, I just really like the album. It kind of just speaks to me in that way. And
hell yeah.
And that's why I like it.
That's, you know, those albums are important. Those albums are way more important than like how big the band is or any of that shit. Like, why do you like it, you know? And that's why in a couple of weeks we're going to be talking about Third Eye Blind.
Third Eye Blind. Does that mean someone got their dick cut off?
I have no fucking idea. I'll have to dive deep on that and find out.
We're gonna have to look into that,
because I hope that's not what that stands for. But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
because I'm gonna make a band called Fourth Skin Gone.
I don't see that having any major success. Then again, it worked for the Butthole Surfers. Hey. So, I mean, yeah, the motherfucking Butthole Surfers.
Yo,
shitty name, but fucking great band.
I heard they show their buttholes in their VIP rooms.
I don't know if that's true. But
I don't know if it is. I made that up.
But I mean, they were supposedly pretty wild back in the day, so you never know. There could have been butthole scenery for everyone.
It was probably a bad word back then in like Santa Cruz. They're like, you buttholes always taking the surf.
It's funny, I can't remember any of the other names they tried and fucked around with before they settled on that, but they were always something that would probably, you'd take one look at it and be like, fuck, these guys are not playing at my venue.
The Anus Sailors.
I mean, probably not that far off. I don't think it was variations of that name, but it was just like wild, stupid, weird, we're on drug shit. You brought up drugs, and I got to bring up Butthole Surfers, because those motherfuckers would...
You don't name a band Butthole Surfers unless you are on drugs.
Unless you are fucked up.
Unless you are fucked. But you had to have been continuously fucked up, because there wasn't a sober state to be like, we should change the name of the band.
I'm glad they didn't. I like how it cuts like a knife when you bring it up to people, and it's like, they're like, you like the Butthole Surfers? And like, as a matter of fact, I do. It's one of those moments for them. They're just like,
what can I say? I love buttholes.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's going to bring us to Deep Dive's first ever mid-roll break. Thought we'd play a little bit of little tunes for you while we step away from the yapping.
Yep, yap.
And when we come back, we will be talking third album territory. We'll be right back.
Goodbye and hello. All right, everybody. Welcome back from our mid-roll break.
Break
it.
in a world where there are mid-roll breaks
And small attention spans.
Deep Dive is back.
And welcome back, everybody. So, this brings us to our third album by Scary Kids Scaring Kids.
The biggest pile of shit I think I've heard in a long time. 2022's
Out of Light, Out of Ideas.
For real. What the fuck?
I don't know what the fuck.
This album sucks.
This album is disrespectful to the band to me.
It really is. And I was thinking about that before you came over today. And I was like, there's respectful ways to do it. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Static X.
I know songs by them.
Well, Wayne Static passed away probably like 10 years ago now, maybe. Mm-hmm. And they got the singer from the band Dope, Edsel Dope. And he wears a face mask with Wayne Static's signature spiky hair. And he sings exactly like him. And it's like homage. They only play songs written by Wayne Static. The new stuff they do was all shit that he had still written but died before it could get done. And it's pretty classy, you know. It's in the same vein as the length of time Linkin Park waited to bring on the new vocalist. Like, the backlash that shit is getting is just the dumbest shit ever to me. Like, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Every major band that's lost a vocalist like that has gone on.
It's also, a lot of people aren't discrediting her singing or her ability. Mm-hmm. They're discrediting her just because of whatever choices she's made with religion and whatever.
You are not allowed to make mistakes in this life.
Nope.
You motherfuckers better be perfect.
I know, for real. But Linkin Park, I still say, did it right. Choosing a female singer stops you from comparing. Like, you can be like, I like Chester better, but you can't be like, she doesn't even sound like Chester. Chester's a way better singer. Like, they're two different types of vocalists. One's a female, one's a male. They both have different vocal ranges. So it's harder to compare, but you throw a male in there and everybody could be like, God damn, this is garbage.
Yeah. I really think comparing old works to new works is a very detrimentally bad thing for a band. It's not needed. You don't need to do it. Just, you know, listen to what they're doing. And if you like it, you like it. You don't, but it doesn't need to be all about this. Fuck this person. It sucks. Or she's not Chester. Like, no fucking shit. She's not Chester.
Headline, he died.
But what's the rest of Linkin Park supposed to do? Fucking just sit around and, you know, fucking jerk off and do nothing with the rest of their careers when they were one of the biggest bands in the world? You can't expect that, you know?
No, you can't. And they did wait a respectable amount of time.
They did.
Do I think there were better vocalist choices? Yes. But I don't hold that against anybody. That's my personal choice and opinion. Yeah. Obviously, the band who made the fucking band decided she was good enough. We should probably trust a little bit. Like, let them have time. I don't believe this first album is going to be a real show of her. They're going to play it safe, because even their couple singles to me sound like she's trying to be Chester, but in her own way. But I feel like the next album she'll really bloom in her own.
That's usually how it goes. Exactly. And that's just the way that it is.
It is. You know, you try to ease fans into it. You don't want to throw out the crazy, even though Linkin Park has thrown out just crazy different albums, different styles, different everything. But I mean, as a new vocalist, you don't want to change it too crazy much and too crazy fast. Just, you know, ease into it sometimes.
Well, and then you got fucking this Scary Kids Scaring Kids Out of Light, where I'm just like, I know you're trying to go for some tribute to the original vocalist, and you bring in all these other experienced emo post-hardcore vocalists, and it sounds so good in theory, but it's just a blended mix of fuckery and generic just horseshit that I don't think that vocalist would have ran with this. And well, we got two members in the band that are even part of the original lineup. It's like, that's the moment where you man the fuck up, you hire the other people, and you hire a new vocalist, and you just move on. People die. Shit happens. If you're a band like that, you try to find a vocalist that fits your niche, but also might be better and could revitalize your group again, and you go with it. You don't do this. I don't know. Even the biggest vocalists, like, nobody got together and did like a Sublime album. Like, let's have a different. Nobody, just fucking get a new person and move the fuck on, or hang it up. Those are your two options.
I think not only did they wait too long, it's just it's only two of them. Which, to be fair, during their last album, they had already gone through, I think, another drummer, another lead guitar. So it was only really Tyson and these two who, forgive me, but I forget their names because they're so fucking lame right now. But it's basically Chad Crawford and Puyan Afkari, whatever. But either way, they'd made a bad choice, I think. They should have done, like you said, pick another singer. Pick one. They've got the dude from Ice Nine Kills on there, Little Lotus. They've got a whole bunch of people, all from different things, but none of them, it makes the album sound like some random covers album that nobody gives a shit about. Like, I'll be honest, I don't give a fuck about this guitar player and pianist from Scary Kids Scaring Kids. I didn't listen to the album for them. They have their parts, but I listened to it for Tyson, all the guitaring, everything, but it's not present here. And I don't know who wrote the songs, but you can tell they're written differently than what previous albums were. Like, I can feel how they write,
Cookie cutter shit.
It's felt generic. And like you said when we were talking about a little bit, phoned in. Like, they're doing something just to make money, just for notoriety. I don't know what.
How much? I mean, who the fuck? I mean, only a finite amount of people even know who the fuck this band is. So who are they coming back to appeal to? Because
they've got 300,000 listeners a month. I mean, it's not millions, but it's not chump change. 300,000 people a month listen to them. And honestly, I was shocked by that number. I thought it was going to be more than like 100,000.
I'm shocked by that number too, but that's peanuts compared to...
It's peanuts, but for a band like that, they were never the top tier fucking headliner back in the day either. They were never like the band everybody was like, did you hear Scary Kids' album? No. Even though I find them great, they were not the highlight of that generation. So
this album is just drab. It's just like... It was a chore for me to get through it.
I listened to it today again, and
it sucks. It's like the guitar parts are not primarily interesting. The melodies are weak.
Generic.
It sounds like they phoned up some dude who is responsible for writing like the biggest fucking post-hardcore emo songs in the world. And they're like, we need an album stat. Write us all the bullshit, and then here's your fucking paycheck and get the fuck out. That's what the fuck it seemed like to me. And I
agree.
I'm not having it. I don't like it. I don't know.
It was unnecessary. And so here's something else I didn't like that they did. They released I think they call it the Salt Mine Sessions. Salt Mine Sessions. I saw that on there.
They just like acoustic songs or something.
Derailed, The Deep End, Faces, and Watch Me Bleed. All of them are from the self-titled, which they largely ignore. They did a fucking reunion tour or a anniversary tour for The City Sleeps in Flames, but they've completely ignored this, which I believe they did that. But they did this Salt Mine, and I don't know who the singer is, if it's multiple, but I did not like these versions. They just don't do. So when they do these kind of cover songs, I look for either two things: sound really good like the original, or make it good in your own way. These do neither.
Oh, that brings up a good point, because we just, right before we fired this up, listened to them covering Notorious Thugs by Biggie and Bone Thugs, and it was fucking crap. Like, didn't do anything new, didn't give it the Still Fly treatment like Devil Wears Prada.
Devil Wears Prada proved you can turn rap into scream or into singing. They proved it.
This was like, and these guys are coming in and you're rapping and you think you're even getting anywhere close to Biggie's flow on that song. You're tripping. So it's like, I don't know what that guy was going for, but yeah, I didn't like it.
I think a white guy says the N-word in that song too.
I think so too.
We listened to it and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that
sounds like a white guy.
But
get him.
I don't know. I don't know. And
I feel like Tyson wasn't in that. He might have been, but the background singer did not sound like Tyson.
Hard to say for me because I don't know him as well as you.
He's just got that distinct voice. You would hear it. And that's what I was listening to because it came out in 2008.
What, that Punk Goes Crunk or whatever?
Yeah, Punk Goes Crunk.
I think so.
Yeah,
2006 or 2008 or something.
I think it was 8. I think 6 was acoustic too. Either way.
It blows. It sucks and blows. If that's any like indication of how bad that shit is.
Vacuum.
Yeah. There's so many of those Punk Goes volumes that I've never even heard when I was looking at this.
Dude, Punk Goes 80s. They've got a Cartel song. They cover Oasis's Oasis Wonderwall.
Interesting.
Great cover. I like the style they do it in.
Looking at this list, I've heard Punk Goes Pop 1, 80s, 90s, Crunk, Volume 2, and Volume 3. And then they've got countless others that I've never heard. They even have a Punk Goes 90s Part 2.
Yep.
I'll have to...
I think the most recent one they did was Acoustic 3.
Punk Goes Pop Volume 7, 2017 is the most recent thing.
Oh, did they do one? Oh.
With the motherfucking State Champ.
Hey, now you know who the fuck they are.
Who the fuck are the State Champs? Who the fuck are those guys?
They're the best.
The best. I'll check it out. I see some bands I know on this album, and some versions of these songs, like Stitches. I wonder if that's them covering Orgy Stitches, or if it's a different one. Yes, there's a band called Orgy, if those of you didn't know.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
But they're a band that we actually might talk about because they're pretty cool. And the singer has his own podcast now where he like interviews other musicians and shit like that. So I don't know if they're having orgies on the mic, so don't get excited.
Orgies with John Lennon.
Orgies on the mic with John Lennon. By the way,
John Lennon is not the singer of Orgy. I don't know.
I just said that. I didn't know his name, but I had to say a name, so it was just thrown in there.
What a revisionist history that might be if John Lennon was the vocalist of Orgy.
Or if he sang the Tarzan soundtrack.
You'll be in my heart.
How would he sing it though? Like
I don't know.
Beatles style. You'll be in my heart.
Oh man, I could almost hear that. Yeah, I'm gonna give this album a really low score, and that's sad because it's got the guy from Under Oath on it. It's got the guy from Seosin, who also had the good sense to, hey, Anthony Green's leaving. Let's get Cove, who's I think a great singer.
Agreed.
People shit all over that era of Seosin, even though it's a big deal at the time. I love it, and even he couldn't save that fucking song. Nobody could save this album.
Weird how Seosin took the scene by storm.
Yeah.
And then Anthony Green dipped out. And
then he came back, and that album is sick too.
Hell yeah.
Seosin's just sick. What I always loved from them is their guitar work. Those guys are just fucking badasses.
Same with Fall of Troy. Those guys are like mathematicians with their guitar, which why probably Devil from Chiodos is so good, because they got the lead guitar player, I believe, from Fall of Troy.
It's also just good because Chiodos with Craig Owens is fucking
hell yeah. Cheetos.
So sick. Cheetos is going to have their own episode soon.
Cheetos. But I agree with you. This album deserves a fucking 3. I'm going to give it a 3.
I give it a fucking 0 out of 10.
I give it a 3 because
you're generous.
At the end of the day, I don't create anything. So me giving it, maybe it's different for you because you create music. I don't. I create farts in my bedroom, and those aren't music.
I don't think It's weird. There are two sides of the coin with that. Like, yeah, I could sit here and say, I don't have anything of substance music-wise, so I can't say shit. And I know that's one line of thinking, but I don't think it's wrong to say, like, this is bad, especially when you have two albums coming from your perspective anyway that you really like by them, and then it comes out and it's just a shit show. And it happens to lots of bands, usually with their third album, but the gap between albums here is probably part of the problem too.
Absolutely.
I don't know. 0 out of 10 though.
It's probably
out of light, out of get the fuck out of my face.
Fucking touch.
Yeah.
The best thing was though for me is I did not expect this album to be good. Didn't. When they first announced they were doing it, I was like, who's going to be the singer though?
Let me hear that. There was a third. I was like, oh God. Yeah,
out of light, out of fucking their mind.
Yeah, out of my fucking face because I'm not listening to that album or the first album ever again. But I'll probably rock that self-titled.
I'm not going to lie. I'll probably listen to that self-titled tomorrow.
Hell yeah. I don't blame you. You got to listen to what you like. I do think we need to talk about that After Dark EP. I mean, I don't know how we do the episode and not bring that up, I guess. It's really the first effort, the thing before the
2003.
Yeah. So
then they reissued it 2005, I think.
And it has like 3 or 4 songs that ended up on the first album, right? Or at least 1 or 2, something like that. Yeah. It's not bad either. I mean, you can kind of see the precursors to what the band will be.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that shit.
Good. For a little EP back then, which it sounds like it was recorded in some little shit studio.
Gotta do what you gotta do, baby.
Gotta do what you gotta do, but it sounded good. I mean, it got them their deal.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that was good. A common thing for the time. Like these bands, like we talked about, just fucking rolling out of their garage, trying to get noticed. Here's a little EP. Fucking sign me. Get it, got it good.
Bayside got their name last minute. He went to hand a CD to somebody, and they're like, "What's your name?"
Bayside.
And I think he saw something on a van or something. Anyways, he saw it somewhere, and then right in the moment, he said, "That's my name."
Bayside toilet cleaners. Yeah. Bayside.
He's like that fucking Family Guy thing. He's like, P. Tier.
Yes.
Griffin. Peter Grit. Damn. But he was like,
that's so good.
He looks outside. Bay. There's a bay. The side of the building. Bayside. Building side. Bayside. Yeah. He's like, there you go.
And the exec is like, Bayside. I love it. Here's a check.
Here's a check for $5.
Whoa, that's pretty low.
That's what they got for recording. I mean, their self-titled was recorded in like a room this size.
I'm kind of curious. How many other emo bands like this are there for you? The like sleeper emo bands, because like there's the big ones and then there's the little guys that kind of like the Beloved. You ever listen to that band?
No.
So they only have like the one album, so it's like but it's a great album. So I'm just wondering if there's, because this right here is a relatively small discography.
Absolutely. Probably more of my obscure shit is gonna be like acoustic emo stuff. I'm a fucking sucker. When I was a kid, the first 3 songs I would listen to be the first song, the slowest song, and the hardest song.
Interesting.
And then I would decide how much I was gonna listen to that album based on those 3. Because I fucking love slow songs from them.
I'm the exact opposite.
I know. I know, man.
Slow songs don't do shit for me. Like, I mean, there are exceptions, like I talked about, but I'm usually about the hardest song. I want to hear your rowdy shit.
Yeah,
get rowdy.
I love them both. That's why I had to listen to both. I needed them at their fucking and then they're that kind of shit. I needed both, but I fucking love slow songs. So a lot of my obscure shit is that. Like emo shit I found, like, again, from MySpace, tapping their top 8 to their top 8, into their top 8, into their mom. And then I got there. So.
How do you feel about Emery? Do you like Emery?
The Question.
Okay.
That is probably another quintessential album for the emo world.
So is The Week's End for me. I like that album a lot.
It is. That's another good
killer first album.
I actually got to see, I think, the 15-year anniversary tour for The Question.
Really?
Yeah, it was in San Diego. I was with an ex-girlfriend and she surprised me with it. God, it was such a sick set though.
They're a cool band. They don't get enough credit. They still put out pretty decent shit. So
I mean, I feel like it's them, Saves the Day.
Saves the Day.
I like Saves the Day.
A lot of people do. I'm the odd one out. It's like Death Cab for Cutie. I fucking don't like those guys either.
I like Death Cab.
Everyone does.
I like Post Service more.
Yeah.
That one album they did.
Everyone does.
It's a great album. I mean, I like it more than I like all of Death Cab.
Yeah. I mean, neither of those bands are bad. They're just
not your style.
They're boring for me.
They're not your thing.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
The emo Radiohead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's how I'd sum them up. Skips for me. Skip.
You know a band that got really forgotten during that time?
Which one?
Hawthorne Heights.
I never liked them.
They came in strong as fuck though. Everybody loved them, you know? And even today, that shit, like, they're still living off the Black and White album or whatever it's called. The Silence in Black and White. Yeah. They're still living off that shit because, you know,
and a couple of those songs are great.
Tour.
But,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So come on, race and black my eyes.
It's the same thing with this genre because it is just rock and roll. But if I have to use the genre tags, I mean, it's the same thing with this. Like, it's hard pressed to find one of these bands that I don't at least like a couple songs from. Yeah. You know, but because, you know, when you're going into the writing process, you know goddamn well you got to write some just absolute bangers, right? I mean, or no one's going to listen to you. Mm-hmm. And like that. Those are usually the songs I'm looking for. I was like, well, I want to hear what you have to prove. I don't want to hear you whining with an acoustic guitar using your tears as lubricant. Get the fuck out of here.
Fucking love it. Lube me up. Lube me up.
One that comes to mind that I really love though is for the acoustic shit is that song Emily from First to Last. That's like a quintessential emo song.
If there was ever an emo acoustic song to exist, it's fucking that one. Mm-hmm. And I hope if this world ends, that's one of the songs that survive. So people who find us can be like, what the fuck? I'm kind of sad.
Yeah, that riff. I think everyone tried to learn that riff.
I still remember it. I can still play the solo.
From First to Last. We'll do them too.
From First to Ass.
I mean, I don't know. I like their later shit. I don't know.
After, what was it? Throne of the Wolves or
Dead Wolves.
Dead Wolf. That was the last album I listened to.
I did listen to them re-recording that Ride the Wings of Pestilence song.
They did?
Yeah.
Was Sonny?
I think Sonny is on it.
No way he screamed in that.
He did. It's pretty good. I like it.
I have to hear
it's a much more polished version, so I don't like it as much still. But
dude, yeah, the unpolished, dude, that song is just
that song is so sick, dude. God damn it, that song lyrically and just everything, like brutal, so fucking brutal. Like I said, we mentioned it in the when we talked about what Devil Wears Prada. Yep. Like that was the first emo album I'd ever heard. So, and I hated it at first. So.
I mean, it's jarring.
Yeah,
musically. Mm-hmm. It's jarring. Like their Note to Self single from that album. Mm-hmm. It's really weird. Just the two singers singing, but their vocal ranges are so far apart. Like it's jarring and just.
Note to self, I miss you terribly. This is what we call a tragedy. So sick.
So sick.
People are probably gonna be like, these guys are pussies.
These guys. Go cry.
I am a pussy sometimes, but you know.
I do.
Not with acoustic slow shit though.
I love it. Oh my god. I was listening to the Watch Me Bleed, the Scary Kids Scaring Kids song while I was on the way here. Fucking love that song. Piano. Love it. Love all slow songs.
Well, not all slow songs, huh?
Not all. There's some really turds out there.
Well, I think that wraps up the episode.
I think so too.
Scary Kids, Scaring Kids.
You know what?
Gilbert, Arizona.
I never got a rating from you about the self-titled.
Oh, yeah.
What is your rating?
Probably like a 7. That's not much better than the first, but yeah.
That's expected.
Overall, you know, the band is the band. Like I said, there are way better bands in this genre to me. I think their name sticks out, which I like. I like that name. It's sick. I probably would recommend the self-titled album to somebody who is getting into the genre, though. It's like, you know, this guy's got some unique vocals and some pretty cool lyrics, and the guitar work early on, at least for that self-titled album, and even some of the first album.
Yeah,
they had some shit to prove, so you could hear it in them. So yeah, still check them out.
Check them
out.
You know,
always don't listen to my fucking ass. You know, just form your own opinions.
Don't
check
listen
them out.
to me either. I'm fucking wild.
Yeah, and let us know what you think. If you listen to them, if you've never heard them, if you're hearing them for the first time, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Amazon Music, Good Pods, fucking Apple, Spotify. Deep Dive is all up in your shit.
Pray for us too.
Yes. Pray for us. Pray for us.
Please.
I don't know why, but
I don't know why either.
But I guess please do. And then with that is the end of the episode.
Thank you for joining.
This is one of your hosts, Practical.
It's your boy Rex.
And we will catch you next time.